I can only assume Minnesota's not the exception. Did you know the CIA's implanted in your state government?
No.
How are they?
Well, I'll explain. First of all, the CIA mission statement says they're not to be operational within the U.S. So they're violating their mission statement. Well, in Minnesota, only the governor and the chief of staff are aware of it. That there's an implanted CIA person in the Minnesota government at a level to where he doesn't come and go with elections. It's a permanent position. Why? Why do they violate their own mission statement? And I can only assume Arizona. I don't know if you have one, but I don't believe Minnesota is the exception.
Did you know who it was in Minnesota?
Yes.
And what was the position in
The
Minnesota?
position was at a deputy level in one of the. You know, I won't go far enough to say. I won't say names because I'm not going to get Valerie Plain.
Was it an agency type position?
Well, it's an upper level management position. That's permanent. In fact, when this person retired, I was then introduced to the new one. They then recruited a new one and had that person implanted in Minnesota government. If you're also not aware, 1 month after I took office, I was requested to the basement of the Capitol where I was interrogated by 23 members of the Central Intelligence Agency, and I was the governor. I went, because being a former military, you kind of feel obligated. You don't know what it's really about. I walked into the room, and they put me in a chair at the end, and they were in a big half circle around me, and they interrogated me, questioned me. And having met me, you'll realize how I handled it. I walked in and I sat down. I said, well, first of all, I said, before you ask me any questions, I have a few for you. I said, what are you here for? I said, your mission statement says you're not to be operational in the United States of America. Why are you here questioning me? And why are you violating your mission statement? Well, I couldn't get an answer. That's the way they are. I second said, I want to go around the room. I want you to tell me your name and what you do. And I'm the governor. Half of them wouldn't. Half would. I don't know if they're telling the truth when they said to me.
What did they question you about? What was
Well, okay, when it was over, I went home very puzzled that day. And when I got home, I thought, who can I call that could clear this up for me? And one name came to me, and his name is Richard Marcinko. Does anyone know who Richard Marcinko is? Dick Marcinko writes the Road Warrior books. He's a 32-year member of the Navy SEALs. He created SEAL Team 6, the anti-terrorist unit. He created Red Cell. And Dick worked very closely and many times with the CIA, whom we in the SEALs lovingly call Christians in Action. That's our slang term for the CIA. We call them Christians in Action. Hey, we're SEALs, come on. We're not your normal run-of-the-mill. Yeah, we don't know any better. And so I called Dick, and I said, Dick, I just had a meeting with 23 members of the CIA in the bowels of the Capitol. I said, and I can't figure out why they wanted to talk to me. And I said, you're the guy who I probably would have calling because you would have the most intel to me. And Marcinko started laughing on the other end, and I said, he said, I've been out of it now a few years. He said, I can't directly tell you why, but he said, I have a pretty good idea why. I said, tell me, you're leap years ahead of me. He said, they didn't see you coming. And what's the CIA's job? Their job is to do intelligence reports to let the government know trends and things like that so that the high echelon government people can make, hopefully, good decisions based upon intelligence. And when I thought back to the questioning, it was all about how I got elected. He was right on. They wanted to know what I did. I don't know, maybe to stop it from ever happening again. Who knows? I don't know. But that may be it. I don't know. But that was what the essence of the questions were all about, how I got elected. Da-da-da-da. And like Dick said, they didn't see you coming. And he said, they want to know now, is there going to be 6 more independent governors on the horizon? What is going on here in the U.S.? Then I'll tell you the best story. which is in the book also. I'm ruining the book.
Which is available for sale tonight.
Yeah.
When I went to
well worth
Cuba, when I went to Cuba over my country's objections, the administration's objections, I was there for 5 days, and Castro gave me 3 of his personal bodyguards and an interpreter. I had my 2 regular bodyguards, and ironically, Castro allowed my guys to carry their guns the entire time they were in Cuba, except when I met with him. Then they had to turn their, which I don't blame, they had to turn their guns over to the Cubans, and then as soon as Castro was gone, the guns were immediately returned. But I could understand that, because after all, we have attempted to assassinate him on a few occasions. Wouldn't that be called terrorism? If your intelligence community goes out and attempts to assassinate another political leader, I would classify that terrorism.
Of the United States.
Well, I understand that. I think that's part of the old hypocrisy and double standard and all that. But the Bush administration did not want me going. And when I returned, I actually thought about contacting President Bush and seeing if he would okay my passport again. By the way, they suspended my wife's passport. They would not allow her to accompany me. Now, aren't we home of the brave, land of the free? My wife was not allowed to go to Cuba with me. Word came, Castro apparently has informants everywhere. I guess when you're a dictator, that's standard operating procedure. And an informant came up to him, or came up to one of my 3 bodyguards and whispered something. The bodyguard then told the interpreter, who told my guys, who then told me. The informant said that I was being tailed by CIA operatives. Now I'm in Cuba, right? And the Cubans wanted to know if I wanted to lose them. Now, I found that real strange. Here I am, a U.S. governor. I haven't done anything wrong. And I'm being tailed by my own intelligence community, and they didn't tell me. And the Cubans are offering me a way to lose them.
Join you at the table.
You know,
What did you say?
I said no. I said, we're not doing nothing wrong. I don't, what are they going to report back? I said, ignore them. We're going to have fun. We don't, I'm not going to, and so we went on with the night. Well, got back to the United States. I'm in my office in the Capitol, and I look at my schedule, and there's this 2 o'clock meeting on my schedule that's blank. So I pull my chief of staff in, and I go, Stephen, what's this 2 o'clock meeting? Everything else has got what it is. This 2 o'clock meeting's blank, and my chief of staff kind of rolls his eyes. He goes, CIA. I said, oh, okay. Well, I knew, because they didn't need debriefing. I understand how it works. They came in, and I'd met them before. And in fact, the guy I met is the head of the whole region. He told me something very interesting. When 9/11 hit, that afternoon, I called him, wanting to know what I needed to know. Right? I said, what do you know? What's going on here? He said, we know nothing more than you know, Governor, at this time, but if I learn more, I'll let you know. He told me later I was the only governor that bothered to call him. No other governors did. And I said, well, I'm the only governor that used to be a SEAL. I would know to call you. Your intelligence. I need intelligence. I'm going to call the people that are in that business. Well, anyway, these guys, 2 guys sat down, and they went through the typical questions, which I expected. What did Castro's health like? Did he seem to have all his mental capacities? All the typical questions, and I answered them all honestly. And they were finished then, and they're very formal. They're very, the way they should be, with respectful and everything like that. And when they were finally done, they said, Governor, thank you very much. We're all done. And I said, you all done? You're all finished? You don't want to ask me nothing more? They said, no. I said, there's nothing you want to tell me or anything else? I go, no, sir. I said, okay. I said, well, now I got something to tell you. And I said, I'll leave this up to your discretion. You take it where you think it needs to go. And I looked right at him and I said, if you ever put a tail on me again without telling me, I said, you're going to find your tail floating in the river. I said, now you take that back to whoever needs to know it. I was pissed.